I think you'd have to. I think I will give a slight edge to Carlos as a favorite because of the the two titles he's won here and the way he's playing and the confidence he has right now. But it's just a slight advantage because Yannick is hitting the ball extremely well. Um, I think it's going to be again a very close matchup like we had in Paris. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris on today's Wimbledon Day 12 catch up brought to you by Babolat.
Alcaraz made to work by Fritz.
Djokovic bows out to Sinner in straight sets.
And we preview the Wimbledon men's final.
Chris, today is the 11th of July. We are here to catch up on Wimbledon Day 12 at Tennis Weekly HQ, brought to you by Babolat. Men's semi-finals day has come and gone. We are going to be dissecting all of the action from centre court that took place this afternoon. Pretty much everyone came to the party except Novak Djokovic, I think you could say, although we did learn that he has no imminent plans to retire. So we'll be getting into all of the detail. We'll also be catching up on the mixed doubles final from yesterday, having a little collector set update and looking ahead to the men's final on Sunday as well. But rather embarrassingly, Chris, we have come to this evening's podcast wearing the same outfit.
We have. It's the same shirt, listeners. For audio listeners, it's sort of, I think it's described as
An
like
off-white
an
cream.
off-white, yes.
Cannoli cream, I think.
It is cannoli cream.
Yes.
It's actually, unsurprisingly, listen, it's a Babolat 150-year anniversary t-shirt that is available to purchase. But I would say, Kim, we didn't coordinate this, but I'm actually not hating it. I quite like it. The uniform of Tennis
Lovely.
Weekly.
It's our new uniform. It's 100% cotton. It's really nice and cool in this heat, actually. So
Can
I've
recommend.
been enjoying it very much, genuinely. So
And
yes,
unisex as well, isn't
and
it?
unisex, as evidenced by the fact we're both wearing the same
Let's see if
top.
Joel wears it for the final, all of us.
We also have the same dinner,
We do.
which is Polish inspired, Iga
It is
Swiatek
very much
inspired.
so.
I think our listeners might be able to guess what it is after if they've been following the news.
At
We are
all.
going to be taste testing our very own homemade pasta with strawberries at the end of today's episode.
So stay tuned for that. I'd say it was a different experience in the kitchen for me, Kim. What about you?
Yes, it was. I've never thought to put sour cream with strawberries before
Oh, you did
and
sour cream. I
honey.
did yogurt. Well, we'll have to get to
Well,
that in part two.
there are variations that you can do. I was led to believe that any sort of cream
Mm.
variety is fine.
I
But
was a
yeah, we'll be getting on.
purist. I went for the Swiatek approach.
Well, okay, I just googled a
Anything you
Polish
have.
recipe, but yeah, listeners, stick around for that. Hop onto our YouTube to watch us, and we'll see how we get on with it later.
Our Wimbledon coverage is brought to you by Babolat.
Babolat is an official partner of Wimbledon, and this year Babolat have released the Pure Drive 2025, the 11th edition of the iconic power racket of the franchise.
The Pure Drive has been a bestseller for over 30 years, used by legends such as Carlos Moya, Kim Clijsters, and Lee Na, and now carried by the next generation, including Giovanni Mapeshi Pericard, Jerry Shang, and Jinju Wong.
And if you're looking to tire out your opponents or overwhelm them with powerful shots, then the Babolat Pure Drive 2025 could be the racket for you.
True to its DNA, its technical specifications make it the most powerful racket on the market, allowing you to hit winners at just the right moments. Try the 2025 Pure Drive today or order online at babolat.com.
And this Wimbledon, Babolat are giving one lucky listener the chance to win a 2025 Pure Drive RH6 racket bag. So to enter, head to our Instagram page, follow Babolat UK, as well as Tennis Weekly, and tag a friend on our competition post.
Entries close at midnight on 12th of July, and the winner will be announced on our Wimbledon men's final podcast on the 13th of July.
But let's start with today's action. First up, we had Carlos Alcaraz against Taylor Fritz, the first semi-final. This went, I guess, as expected with Carlos Alcaraz winning. He is now into his third straight Wimbledon final. Will he be able to make it 3 wins from 3 on Sunday? That remains to be seen. But he did come through Taylor Fritz in 4 sets today. Could have gone 5 though, Chris. Taylor Fritz had 2 points to take us into a 5th set, but Carlos Alcaraz did what he does best and saved those points. And literally a minute later, we were, game, set, and match Alcaraz. What was your take on today's encounter?
Well, I mean, watching the opening game, I did think, oh, this is going to be quick because Alcaraz did break in the opening game. And I thought that would set the tone, but it didn't. So I'm actually very impressed with Taylor Fritz in terms of the way that he fought. He stayed in there. And I mean, we can forgive someone losing 4 points in a row to Carlos Alcaraz in a tiebreak because Jannik Sinner lost 7 points in a row at that French Open final clash. So there's no shame in that. But I think for those who were on centre court, would they have liked a 5th set? Probably. But I mean, we did get the final a lot of people were looking for. So maybe at that point they wanted to get the result done. But again, Alcaraz showing in those big moments why he is just so good at majors.
Yeah, and I think, in a way, in hindsight, would have been nice to have maybe had a 5th set because the second semi-final was perhaps a bit disappointing, not as close as envisaged. So, but Alcaraz, I'm sure, would have rather have avoided that extra time on the court. And although his 5-set record is incredibly good, you still don't want to have to go 5 unless absolutely necessary. I mean, Fritz, I was very impressed with how he turned up, that slight slow start getting broken, but he did, play some really strong tennis. And it definitely was a case that, Alcaraz had to be the better player. I don't think Fritz sort of beat himself, it is great to see him kind of turn up and push Alcaraz. Although, always, I think we had that confidence that Alcaraz would come through. What is it that Alcaraz was able to do so well today, Chris? Do you think that has sort of enabled him to just, I guess, swat aside players like Taylor Fritz, who, is the 5th seed here, but even though it went 4 sets, he didn't really, again, have that sensation that Carlos was ever at jeopardy in the match.
Yeah, I think we discussed before that even if he went 2 sets to love down, we still would think that Carlos Alcaraz would win this match. So no surprises on that front. In terms of what I think he did really well, I mean, we know Fritz as being, the serve bot of the two, as the Americans like to refer to it. He actually hit 19 aces. But what's interesting is a higher first serve percentage for Carlos Alcaraz and also a higher first serve percentage of points won. He won 88% of points behind the first serve to 80 for Fritz. And then on the second serve, they were equal. So I think he's definitely really hard to break this championships. And I think when you do have that confidence, you can hold. He was broken once in that second set, obviously, where he lost at 7-5. But I think when you have the confidence behind your serve, it does free you up for all sorts of other things in your game because matches that look close on paper might not be that close if everyone's holding serve quite comfortably. So I think that's a key thing. And I also think, did you see how many times he went into the net, Kim?
Yes, serve and volley, especially as well, was a bit of a strategy, I noticed. And he was actually asked about this in press. So let's have a listen to what Carlos had to say.
Well, I just serving really good. So, I just feeling really comfortable doing serve and volley. So I think I won a lot of serve and volley that I did today. Not letting the opponent just to get into the point, to get the good rhythm. So it's something that I just doing a lot. I think on grass it is the surface that we can do it more often. I'm feeling really comfortable doing it.
I mean, that's a, really old school grass court strategy. I love that he's embracing it and executing it. Yeah. And I think it just demonstrates the variety that he has and just the completeness of his game. And he's still so young.
Adding, doesn't he? Do you think it's because he played golf with Tim Henman? Henman said, why not try it? Do a serve volley.
Well, he has been playing golf with some real, fantastic grass courters, Andy Murray, Tim Henman. So really, I feel embracing the life in Britain, like hanging out with the Brits. It's it's really I think obviously a home favorite as well. Almost, I feel like the British public are very much behind him as well. I mean, one thing that Carlos Alcaraz may be on to do is the French Open Wimbledon double for the 2nd year in a row. Like, it doesn't happen very often. He did it last year. Roger, Rafa, Novak, they've all done it as well, but none of them managed to do it, multiple times. I think the last player to have done it was Bjorn Borg back in 1978 to 1980. He did it 3 years on the trot. Alcaraz could be on to do it for the second year in a row, which is, I think he's going to start, if he does do it, entering territory that even, the famous big three were never able to, to tick off their list, so to speak. What does that tell us about this new generation, maybe, or, Alcaraz as already a young legend of the game?
I mean, it's a bit scary. I think it was quite fitting that Bjorn Borg was there to watch. Maybe he'll be back for the final to see if Alcaraz can go 2/3 of the way to emulating what he was able to do in the 70s to the early 80s. But it's so impressive that he's able to kind of keep this winning run going. I think we've seen from so many players who've been mentioning in press about how hard it is to do the channel double. Iga said the worst preparation, for Wimbledon is winning Roland Garros. So I think that really put it in a really clear way to me that it doesn't make it easier, playing long and deep into the clay and then making the swap. The commitment to both surfaces has to be there, and Alcaraz is able to do that. I think the age that he's at doing it is also, again, something that is a bit scary when you look at the numbers. But I mean, overall, I think the channel double, is that what we're calling it?
Yes. And also, I want to say he won Queens as well. So we've got to throw that in there, which, isn't, it adds another element to it as well. I mean, he is on a 24-match win streak. So he's just on a complete roll, isn't he? He's just maybe the peak of his young career so far. Should he win on Sunday? Obviously, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. He hasn't done the channel double yet, but I think we can call it that.
We can indeed. And I think the more I see of him playing, the more confident he gets. And we heard from Novak Djokovic to open the episode that, confidence is king when it comes to these sorts of matches. And, that confidence that he has on this win streak, I think even in those moments when he was down against Taylor Fritz at times, he's got that extra reserve, that extra confidence reserve to think that, what, I've come back from much worse in much more recent memory.
Yeah, and one thing that he won't be able to get if he wins on Sunday is the world number one ranking. Oh gosh, I've had. I'm looking forward to my strawberries so much. I'm needing to eat. I can't make my words up. He will remain as the world number 2, but it's depending on what happens the rest of the year, he could well finish as number 1. But I feel like the two of them, is the world number 1 ranking going to go anywhere but the two of them for the foreseeable? I mean, Taylor Fritz, he is right up there, as the 5th best player in the world, but still a tier below. After today, what does he need to try and do to elevate himself to even have a chance of kind of breaking into that big 2 that we've seemingly got now?
He's doing as much as he can at the moment. I think you do have those generational talents that are really hard to get a win against. I think, for example, what he did today, I think it was a really good effort, a really good showing for himself. I think probably the fact that he was broken a few more times than maybe he would like is probably something which you can control. Try and focus more on your side of the court. You can't really afford to be broken. He was also broken a number of times when he lost a set 6-1 in his quarterfinal against Kachanov, which was surprising. So you just can't give these top players like Sinner and Alcaraz, you can't let your focus drop. You can't give them an inch, because then they really will run a mile and run away with the match.
Yeah, I mean, Fritz will probably be hoping that Wimbledon is moved to Eastbourne and held on those grass courts, because he certainly loves those and has clinched 4
the
titles
Eastbourne
on the
triple,
surface.
quadruple.
Quadruple, I think. Yeah.
Did Bjorn Borg ever do that, Kim?
No, I don't think so. Taylor
yeah.
Fritz has his own record there. Well done, Fritz. But no, Alcaraz too good again today, and he will go for his 3rd Wimbledon title on the trot. We'll be taking a quick break now, but do join us in the second half, where we'll be discussing what Novak Djokovic does next after his straight sets defeat to Jannik Sinner. And we'll also be looking ahead to that blockbuster men's singles final between Alcaraz and Sinner. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast, brought to you by Babolat. And it's time now to talk about the second men's semi-final from today, Novak Djokovic against Jannik Sinner. It was a semi-final that we were all anticipating and I guess hoping for when we saw the draw like 2 weeks ago, because Was Novak Djokovic going to get his revenge on Sinner's recent run of victories against him? The grass courts of Wimbledon certainly favouring Djokovic, his history on this surface against Jannik Sinner's relative inexperience. Or was Jannik Sinner going to repeat his semi-final victory from Roland Garros? And Chris, bit disappointingly, we had quite a one-sided encounter in the end. Straight sets to Jannik Sinner. Novak Djokovic kind of just not able to really compete at the same level. It felt that everything Djokovic was trying to do, Jannik Sinner was able to do that bit better.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think we don't know quite the nature of the injury. I think we can probably guess it's to do with like an overstretch. It looks like there was a problem potentially from a movement perspective at times. He didn't want to go into details on it, but it wasn't the most pleasant viewing, I think. I found it quite uncomfortable watching at times. It's quite sad watching because that wasn't Djokovic at his best, and that he was doing his best to make it a match. He did get that break in the third set. We thought maybe there's a chance, and then obviously it kind of just absolutely ran away from him. So I think maybe we were actually forgetting that Novak Djokovic is human. I think sometimes we do forget that, and I think this was unfortunately quite a timely reminder for him that Grand Slams are long. These players really are ready to go 5.5 hours if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, Djokovic, injury concerns, age 38 as well. He is human. We can sometimes forget that he is of that age. And I know that a word that's being used quite a bit is humbling. I think it was a bit for him. He's won here 7 times and has played some fantastic tennis during this tournament and has humbled other players. Yeah, it was almost like his own strategy, medicine was being kind of served against him. And the best chance and the best phase of the match for him was that third set where he had a break to go 4-love up, a double break up. He had a point to get the double break, but wasn't able to get that. And then Sinner just, turned it round and came roaring back. And very quickly we were, again, the match had finished. I mean, Sinner, though, certainly turned up, played, supremely well, did what he needed to do, very efficient in victory as well. So if there is still a lingering worry about his elbow, he will have been pleased to have got the job done quite quickly as well. Do you think Sinner's form was good enough in terms of what he will need come Sunday's final, Chris?
Well, I mean, this was a subpar hampered Djokovic, and I think he made it look quite straightforward, but I don't think he looked exceptionally good today. I think he looked better against Shelton potentially. I do just think that the thing I can't quite get over is that this man was 2 sets to love down against Dimitrov, looking like he was going out, like he was fully being outplayed. Before some of the elbow elements happened, he was also being outplayed at that time. He's now said that doesn't have an impact. We've got to stop talking about the injury. He is still wearing a sleeve on his arm, so I think that's why people are still talking about it. But the serving display has been so great. But that's where I'm still at. I still just can't believe we're here, that there's a realistic possibility that Jannik Sinner could win a Grand Slam despite winning no sets in one of his matches here.
Is he the luckiest man in tennis, perhaps, or the luckiest Wimbledon champion if he were to win the title? I mean,
I
obviously
think he'd get that title as well as the trophy.
Then.
Yeah, we'll make a special trophy for him.
I do find that some people who win slams, they have had that match where it was really dodgy on 10 to hooks. They've saved match points to come back and they've got through it and then they've gone on to win. But that's a slightly different, freak accident. Well, not accident, but freak injury afflicting an opponent who was, dominating you almost for 2 sets. But we just will never know because Sinner may well have come back in 5 and proved, everyone wrong. But yes, it's hard to make sense of Sinner's form because he has been playing
better and better and better.
Djokovic today as well. So yes, it's difficult to assess. Novak Djokovic, though, a real shame it wasn't the 100% fit Djokovic that we would have, I guess, wanted to compete at the highest level today. He was asked in press about his future. Obviously a lot of obvious questions about, is this the last time we're going to have seen him on centre court? He did address that in his response. So let's listen to what he had to say now.
I don't think it's bad fortune. It's just age. The wear and tear of the body. As much as I'm taking care of it, and the reality hits me, right now, last year and a half, like never before, to be honest. It's it's tough for me to accept that, because I feel like when I'm fresh, when I'm fit, I can still play really good tennis. And I've proven that this year, but I guess, playing best of 5 and particularly this year has been a real struggle for me physically. The longer the tournament goes, the worse the condition gets, and I'm just not able to. I reached the final stages. I reached semis of every slam this year, but I have to play or Sinner or Alcaraz, and these guys are fit, young, sharp. And I feel like I'm going into the match with tank half empty, and it's just not possible to win a match like that. It is what it is, It's one of these things that you just have to accept, embrace in some way, deal with the reality the way it is, and try to make the most out of it, I guess. I would be sad, but hopefully it's not my last match on the center court. I'm not planning to finish my Wimbledon career today. So I'm planning to come back, definitely at least one more time, play on the center court for sure.
And I mean, he said it himself there. It's quite clear he's very much aware of the situation, that these guys are young, they're fit, they're sharp, and he's going into it with a half-empty tank. I think he does everything he can to put his body in the perfect situation. He says he takes better care of his body probably than anyone else on the tour. And I'm probably inclined to believe him. I mean, he has been gluten-free for a while. I mean, we aren't going to be gluten-free at the end of this podcast, Kim, but we're also not chasing a Wimbledon title at 38. But having said that, I just think I don't want this to be the last time we see him on centre court. I think I'd love to see him going out in much more battling display, whether that's the way he battled at the French Open, where he thought he might be ending his Roland Garros career. This seemed more positive, though, in tone. It does seem like he wants you back on centre court. And if you're going to play on centre court, why not pop over to Roland Garros, Kim?
Well, exactly. I think it was ironic that we saw a better level and a more competitive match against Jannik Sinner at Roland Garros than we did at Wimbledon. But, of course, this injury that he's carrying, which he didn't want to delve into too much, had a part to play in that. And I do wonder if, he knows that his form is still there, more or less, if he is fully fit. So if he can kind of just stay fit and fresh, then at least I think he would want to bow out having been at the peak of his kind of, well, not peak, but at
the races,
fitness at the races, turning up to the party. But I think he has acknowledged that when he gets to these latter stages of the 5-set tour, 5-set matches at the slams, that's where his age is catching up with him. Essentially, he's still doing remarkably well, like you said. I think if we're as I don't know, healthy as he is with everything that he's putting in to his regime at at his age, then I think he's a lot to look up to. But yes, Sinner now getting the better of Djokovic over their last 6 meetings. This was the first time he's won against him on grass, so he can tick that box, and that will give him confidence, at least somewhat, going into Sunday's final. I mean, we'll get on to previewing that final very shortly, because the last time we had a player that wasn't Sinner or Alcaraz winning a Grand Slam was actually the US Open in 2023. It's almost 2 years now that we've had this new big two, which I don't think we properly acknowledged until maybe last month, that actually they're sharing the slams and splitting them, and no one's really getting a look in now. Novak Djokovic was the last player to have won a slam before this new era. But I don't know, how do you feel about that, Chris? Because we went from the big three and now we're suddenly in a big two. And is this what men's tennis needs and wants?
Well, it's a bit different, isn't it? I think we did start with Federer and Nadal. They had their rivalry before Djokovic came in and then actually surpassed them in terms of the achievements. So I think with the nature of the results we've had, I mean, it did creep up on us, the fact that we hadn't had a major final between them, but they were actually splitting the slams fully was also something that we didn't necessarily think about that much until we were in that situation. So I also wasn't necessarily thinking that this era we were so far into it, but clearly we very much are quite far into it because it's been seven slams that will be won by Alcaraz or Sinner. So we are in a big two era, I think it's fair to say. And if someone is to get a win outside of that, well, it would be a surprise. It would be a break of form, and it would be something that I'm not sure any of us can really predict going into future slams at this stage.
Yeah, I think it's a two-horse race. I think for the foreseeable, unless injury, afflicts one of them, which of course, would be a shame and would perhaps prevent us from having some epic Grand Slam finals. We do have to consider the impact of the recent French Open final going into the Wimbledon final. Sinner's got a fantastic chance to gain very quick revenge on Alcaraz. But how much scar tissue is there going to be facing the opponent who, stole maybe that victory from you in Paris just, about a month or so ago? He was asked this in press. Let's listen to Jannik Sinner's thoughts on this.
I think if it would be a lot in my head, I would not be in the situation to play a final again, I guess. So I'm very happy, to share once again, the court with Carlos. It's gonna be difficult, I know that, but I'm looking forward to it. No, I try always to put myself in this kind of situations that what I really love, and Sundays on every tournament are very special. So, but this is a question I cannot answer because I think it's something what you feel before the match and also during the match. So I can give you answers after, but no, it's different match, and I'm looking forward to it.
So Sinner being quite, I don't know, not wanting to give too much away. Obviously, he's not going to say, I still think about it and have sleepless nights over it. But, I think like he rightly said, he's got into the final. If he was dwelling so much on it, maybe we wouldn't have seen him be so composed and play, great tennis this tournament. He would still be, afflicted by it on the court.
Yeah, very lucky in terms of the timing. If it was at such a horrible defeat and it happened at, the US Open, you've got quite a bit of time before January to move on from that with an opportunity to put it behind you. And he has an opportunity to play the exact same opponent in the final. It's a repeat. It's a chance to get revenge. And I think focusing on putting it behind you by winning a slam and this turnaround actually probably could be a really positive for him from a mental health perspective.
Yeah, it's not lingering, but he hasn't actually beaten Alcaraz since Beijing 2023. Alcaraz has won the last 5 of their matches, so we'll see how much Sinner can kind of do to overturn not just that recent loss, but all the recent 5 losses. It's going to be a hot, warm, sunny day on Sunday. I think it's being predicted. Obviously, the grass is playing a bit more like a clay court, perhaps. It's very dry, isn't it? And how much do you think the surface is going to favour Carlos in this encounter?
It's interesting because I've always thought that Carlos was the superior clay player, but I've always thought that Jannik is great on clay, and I think the same is probably true for grass. I don't think that any of them are not comfortable. I think we've seen sort of matchups where it can be a bit awkward because a finalist isn't as comfortable on the surface or isn't as good on the surface. I think Alcaraz, the fact he's done it before, is more comfortable on grass. He's been in a Wimbledon final before. That might give him the advantage. I think the surface wise, I mean, it's most felt on a hard court where I do think that Sinner probably does have the slight edge, even though Carlos has beaten him on a hard court recently. I think in the Beijing final last year, and then also in India Wells. So maybe I'm talking rubbish. I think genuinely, maybe Carlos Alcaraz, whatever surface it is on, it's not about the surface. It's actually about the head-to-head and the personal rivalry they have that Carlos just seems to be on the upper hand every time with.
Yeah, and Do you think that's going to be one of the keys to the match and Alcaraz winning, just his history at Wimbledon? Like, he's won this particular title before, 2-time defending champion. He's got that recent, 5 wins on the trot against Sinner, especially the French Open final. We keep going on about it, but it could be so important and pivotal for this match. I mean, I reflect on 2 years ago when Alcaraz was going into his first Wimbledon final and didn't get off to the best start against Djokovic and turned it around, and we were amazed. Backed it up last year, and now his 3rd year in the stage, and we're just viewing him in a completely different way. It's his growth in those last 2 years on this surface and on this court at this event alone is phenomenal. But do you think that kind of history, being the existing champion, will be the main factor giving him the advantage?
Yeah, I can see that being important. I think, as you say, like how much his game has come on grass. I think he's only getting better on the surface. I think the serve has improved significantly. So I think that will be a really positive thing for him to draw on. I also think he's been in different types of Grand Slam finals. And in Wimbledon, as you say, like 2 very different finals against Novak Djokovic. And then a very tough situation, a sticky situation he got himself out of in Paris. So I would say the bigger question for me is, if Jannik Sinner is up, will he think he's going to win that match? Will that be harder for him? Or for Carlos Alcaraz, good start, bad start, does he still back himself to win it? It feels like Jannik Sinner needs to get it done quicker than 4 or 5 sets. Ideally 3, because otherwise Alcaraz just seems to like have this ability to turn matches around.
Yeah, it's Sinner in shorter and sweeter fashion, isn't it? Whereas Carlos is sort of long and lingering, I think. Carlos is inevitably going to have some ups and downs. Like we saw today in his semi-final, Fritz was able to sneak that second set and, had set points in the 4th. So I suppose Sinner has really got to bounce on those moments. Anything he can get from Alcaraz, anytime he senses Alcaraz having a bit of a walkabout in the match, like if Sinner's not making the most of that, then, blink and you miss it, Alcaraz will come roaring back to good form. And so I think it sounds cliched, but tennis is very much about when you win the points and riding those waves of momentum. But I think
right
Sinner's
points
got to be
in the right order,
Yes. Yeah. I think Sinner's got to absolutely capitalize on any breaks in Alcaraz's rhythm or form, because we have seen those in pretty much all of his matches, maybe bar the Cam Norrie match this fortnight.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that Sinner plays particularly like Cam Norrie. Service will be really important as well, as you say. Like, I mean, they were both broken in their semi-finals, which is something they haven't really been broken that much throughout the tournament, especially Jannik Sinner. So I think we might see slightly less long points will be something that will be a big difference. I'm not expecting it to be 5.5 hours or, an absolute epic like we saw in Paris. I think it will be shorter points. I think we will see some serve and volleying, which will be very interesting to see that in this contest, because so much of what happened in Paris was so far behind the baseline. So that's also a tactic that Jannik Sinner actually had to face against Novak Djokovic today. A lot of net rushes from Djokovic, I think, given some of the injury issues that he had and was experiencing. Do you think that the nature of Djokovic's game will actually be good preparation for a potential net charge from Alcaraz? Do you think he'll keep that tactic moving forward?
I think it would have prepared him better than Sinner playing, more of a one-dimensional opponent like Ben Shelton was, who perhaps doesn't have the all-court versatility of a Novak Djokovic. So yeah, I think for anyone going into a Grand Slam final, playing Novak Djokovic is probably a great warm-up. So I think maybe that's a future pathway. If he wants to stick around, he can just be a primer for Grand Slam finalists. I think that will have helped Sinner perhaps over even Alcaraz today against Fritz, who maybe needs to add a few more tricks up his sleeve. I was wondering though, the finals now start at 4 p.m. I believe, which is a new thing this year. If the match does go really long, 5+ hours, could be getting into fading light territory. So is it a slight risk starting at 4?
only with these two probably, or maybe Taylor Fritz. He likes to finish under the roof no matter what happens, and he's out now. So I think when they were looking at the exact start time, I think they were probably thinking, do we do 3:30? Do we do 3:45? Do we do 4? So unlikely that they're going to get fading light. You can play until about 9:20, I reckon, maybe 9:10 at the moment. So bar something extraordinary happening, and lightning doesn't often strike twice, Kim, I think we'll be finishing with the roof open.
It might be another, 2008 when Rafael Nadal won and it was basically pitch black. And as soon as he, won and fell to the floor, you could see all the flashes of the camera. And then you realized how dark it actually was and how bad the light was. It was, amazing. Still sends goosebumps down my spine thinking about that. Will be on for another spectacular. I do hope that Jannik Sinner's mother will have a less traumatizing experience. And I hope the cameras don't focus on her too much if she is there, because
she had a tough ride at Roland Garros, didn't she?
I
mean, what a roller coaster. And someone else do you think Emma Raducanu will make an appearance? Because she was also watching today, but I believe she's watching Jannik Sinner. So maybe the Alcaraz rumors are not to be believed, Kim.
She switched allegiance.
Yeah, she has already.
She's just a decoy. I didn't see her at the Alcaraz one, but she came in later. Let's make some predictions though, Chris. Who's winning and in how many sets?
I can't predict that Jannik Sinner, having been down, having the luckiest escape in tennis history, is going to win this. I think Carlos Alcaraz has something over him. 5 in a row. I think it's going to be 6 in a row. And I think it's going to be in 4 sets.
Okay. Yeah. I don't normally...
You don't like to predict the one that you want to win. So you're saying Sinner in 3?
Oh, well, I do think Alcaraz is the favorite. And I'm going to say Alcaraz in 5.
So we're on for another epic in this tale between the two. But a big two. I mean, it's the big two, but at the moment, it's not necessarily the most competitive head-to-head going. So what will that mean then if Alcaraz does get this? Obviously, we'll discuss this on the podcast after the final. But I mean, then going to the US Open, it could get very interesting when it comes to the world number one ranking. So we shall see, Kim.
Absolutely. We'll also have to see what happens in our collector set, because that is Alcaraz dependent as well. We've got Selenita 6 and Matt J. Turner, who are still in contention for the win. So we are sending you both a direct message with a tiebreaker question, because that may come into play depending on what Alcaraz does on Sunday. So look out for that.
Are we getting one of those?
Our final
no.
two.
Do I need to do that, Kim?
No, sadly,
No.
we are
Oh.
nowhere near contention. So wooden
Right.
spoons for us, which maybe we can use to eat our pasta.
Yes.
We do need to catch up, though, on a result that has already happened, Chris, because we have had the mixed doubles final. It took place yesterday in this new era of doing the mixed doubles finals whenever you feel like it, basically. You and Joel were recording, I think, before this result came in yesterday, so we weren't able to cover it. But Katerina Siniakova and Sam Verbeek won the title. It's 2 tie-break sets over Joe Salisbury and Louisa Stefani. So sadly for British fans, Joe Salisbury not getting the win there. But for Verbeek and Siniakova, who actually win their first tournament together, a fantastic run through to get that title. And, you've got to think Siniakova was especially a real key player here, because she's a bit of a Wimbledon, specialist, I suppose. She's, got a good history on this court, and, well done to them, because it's not often you win in your first tournament together. So fantastic success rate there.
It is. And she's picked up her first mixed doubles title, which seems a bit odd because she's won the Olympic gold medal, but she actually hadn't won a Grand Slam in mixed doubles. She's won all of the slams in women's doubles, as well as the Olympics, as well as the tour finals. So maybe she's looking to do the double career Grand Slam.
Yeah, I would say so. And I also liked that Verbeek, it was his dad's birthday. So I thought that was nice. He was leading a rendition of Happy Birthday to his father during the ceremony. So it reminded, I don't think we've seen singing on centre court since was it Cliff Richard way back when they had to roll him out for a rain delay. But well done to Verbeek and Siniakova. Loads more finals in action over the weekend, which will be rounding up, of course. We've got, the juniors, wheelchair events, the ladies and men's doubles, which of course now are taking place prior to the singles finals. So hopefully that will get more of a crowd in for the doubles finals on the day, and it'll be kind of like a more of a spectacle as a kind of warm-up act rather than a forgotten afterthought. So I do agree that moving the singles final slightly later allows for that. Obviously tomorrow we've got the men's doubles final, Hijikata and Pell against Cash and Glasspool. So hopefully for British fans, Cash and Glasspool will be able to do what Joe Salisbury wasn't able to do in the mixed yesterday. And then we've got the big one, Anisimova against Swiatek, which yourself and Joel previewed yesterday. So if you haven't listened to Day 11's podcast from yesterday, do go back and listen to our thoughts on the matchup there. I think though, Chris, it just remains for one thing before we log off for tonight.
Yes.
And that's to have our dinner, because we're not only wearing the same shirt, we're having the same dinner, aren't we? As we mentioned.
We are. I mean, that's both a fashion and a food faux pas, Kim, is it not?
Yes, I think so. Many faux pas. So I've got a plate here, a bowl of strawberry pasta a la Iga Swiatek.
Yes.
Thank you, Iga, for the
Thank you
inspo.
for the recipe. It actually smells delicious.
Yeah, I've yours looks a bit nicer than mine, I have to say. But
You've really gone for that already, Kim, have you?
I used a recipe online. I used sour cream. I mixed that with honey, and cut my strawberries up, and then did some penne and mixed it all together. Did you use the same pasta, Chris? Or was it a fusilli you've got going on?
I've also got a fusilli here. I can confirm.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. Okay. It does look very nice. It looks very pink. I think it looks glorious.
Yeah. So right.
Right, here we go.
Are we going to do this on a count of 1, 2, 3?
I'm going to try and do this carefully.
I've got a forkful of it here.
It is very nice, actually. It's quite unusual.
Yeah, I could get on board with that.
I'm not expecting. I'm going for one more, but it's not exactly what you're expecting, is it?
It's very strawberry-ish. And the sauce is quite nice and sweet, actually. And I think you could adjust that with how much honey you want to add.
I also think having it cold, very nice cold. This is much better than the Vegemite taste test that we did. Very refreshing. Wimbledon, will you be serving this is what I'd like to know.
I can see why this is a nice, fresh, summery dish, using up all the local strawberries. And the pasta doesn't taste too savoury or anything. I think it actually goes really nicely.
It does go really nicely. So what would the verdict be, Kim?
I think a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, really? I'm going to go...
10, even?
I would go 7.5. Very fair.
Yeah. And I think you could play around, adapt it, be as creative as you like. But
bit of black pepper, maybe, Maybe I'll do that next time.
Yeah. Listeners, have you tried Iga Swiatek's inspired a Polish pasta with strawberries dish? Any Polish listeners, get in touch. Let us know. Maybe we are doing it wrong. Maybe you've got some other ideas for us. But we both quite liked it. So do recommend that you try it. Send us your photos if you have. We'd love to see them and compare notes. But we are going to wrap up today's episode. This was our Wimbledon Day 12 catch up, brought to you by Babolat here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of action from Wimbledon. We've got 2 more days of play to come, and they're going to be absolute crackers, we hope. So do continue to listen to our daily catch ups. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcast platforms out there. And if you love what you're hearing, then be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
And yes, do check out the video where we do try the pasta. You can see whose looks the best. You can stay connected with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads. That's Tennis Weekly Pod is the handle for all of those. Or do get in touch with us. Please email us and tell us what we did wrong with the recipe, or what you did, or do show us what your recipe looked like. And that would be at tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or do visit our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we're back on Saturday for our Wimbledon Day 13 catch-up, brought to you by Babolat. But until then, it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you for listening. I'm going off to put a different shirt on now so I don't twin with Chris. And we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.